One of the most dangerous characteristics of narcissistic abuse is that it has the potential to permeate all aspects of your life, including your dreams. After undergoing such abuse during your waking hours, you are often forced to relive those fears associated with the narcissist even as you sleep. And on average, 30% of adults have about one nightmare a month. And having a nightmare more than once a week is considered moderate, and every night is considered severe. The nightmares tend to embody the fears you harbor about your abuse and your safety, and can leave you emotionally drained the next day. And without proper sleep, your symptoms could feel exacerbated. And being in a relationship with someone who feels like they are always right, that they can know better, and they can do no wrong, leave you feeling so lonely and afraid in your relationships. And in many cases, you feel unneeded, unwanted, unimportant, and that you are just a disposable accessory. And at the end of the day, that's truly what we are with a narcissist. And in healthy relationships, we feel safe, we feel important, relevant, and wanted. And if you are not feeling this in a relationship, you may need to analyze who you are with to ensure that you are not with an abuser in your relationship. So what is the purpose of this trauma showing itself and arising within you as a victim of narcissistic abuse? What I believe is that our trauma is often unconscious, and in other words, we think it's our inner identity and who we're being and how we're feeling and what we're doing now and what we are presenting and what we are connecting to in life. Often we are not aware that we're not aware that the patterns and the programs of the people in our life, in the situations that we were in, can be intensely painful and traumatic, whether we realize it or not. Trauma and programming and beliefs, all of these things have been there for a very, very long time, often way before you ever met the narcissist. So our childhood, the unhealed wounds of our past, the unmet stuff, and of course, the programs that we're running off of can continue into our adulthood. And we find ourselves in similar situations that we have always battled and struggled with in our interpersonal relationships. And I believe that this happens when we have the outer experiences of people that are hurting us, abandoning us, and it's matching our inner, often unconscious programs. And when we are asleep, where that filter between unconscious and the conscious gets so much thinner and so much more accessible when we're in a delta brainwave state, our subconscious can roam through us and our mind, and we're experiencing our trauma, and it's what's coming up in our nightmares. And it's traumatizing because you wake up and you feel like you have lived it all over again. You have lived it through this traumatized nightmare. I am often asked about the horrific nightmares that a victim of narcissistic abuse has after the relationship with a narcissist has occurred. So the nightmares or the bad dreams that you're having about a narcissist, they are truly horrific. And it is absolutely, totally 100% common to have these nightmares after getting out of an abusive relationship. There are other dreams that come along with these after the narcissist nightmares, and this is due a lot to being traumatized, and we fall asleep sometimes after possibly days without any sleep because it's so hard to sleep in that stage after narcissistic abuse, and you wake up traumatized all over again and afraid to go back to sleep because you believe that you're going to have these same nightmares again. They could be from dreams about the narcissist to dreams about driving your car off of a cliff, and you could be in a burning building, and these are all chaotic experiences. You could be running around with your narcissist, him chasing you or you chasing him or her, and him or her standing over you, mocking you, spitting on you, horrible, horrible things. And there were a lot of things that I tried to do back when this was happening to me. I tried pretty much everything that I could. baths with lavender oil in them, aura cleansing, black tourmaline. And I used to wear that and try to ward off psychic attacks from this psychic connection. And these things are wonderful. And there are also other things that can help you too. These alone aren't going to help you. But I would consider those supplements, not really deep down powerful solutions. Our subconscious is absolutely trying to get our attention, but why is that? This is absolutely our subconscious trying to get our attention so that the unconscious can become conscious, so that we can turn inwards and attend to these issues. This is kind of like your subconscious or your higher self like shaking you a bit, like, hey, we need to work on this. And so what can you do about this? I wish for you to understand that narcissistic abuse and in fact all disease, which are not just physical, they are occurrences in our lives that are painful and limited or traumatizing. And these less than experiences all relate to an unhealed trauma program that it was trapped inside us, trapped within us, that is actually generating these experiences, because this is the law of so within and so without. The unconscious without us will then actually translate into a conscious experience, a soul level healing opportunity when we become consciously awake to that which we can turn inwards to and actually heal the subconscious part. So once we get that change on the inside and the outside, who we are, how we show up, and how we choose what we participate in, how we start generating our real life experience begins to match to that inner shift. Narcissistic abuse and the after effects, such as nightmares after narcissistic abuse, can be very difficult to manage as well as explain to our loved ones, to a therapist, to a coach. And we're trying to manage recovery, and then we have to deal with this in our sleep. So the mysteries regarding this dream state with the narcissist, there are many mysteries regarding the dream state, but suffice to say, it is about your subconscious when it comes to after narcissistic abuse. So it's about maybe the things and the messages that we are not getting in the awakened state that are coming in when we are in a dream state, when we are in a delta brainwave, when we are actually open and our subconscious is more open and we're connected to the subconscious. This is what happens through theta and through the delta brain state. And because in beta brain state, we're often quite disconnected from our subconscious and trauma. So trauma is a very powerful part of our subconscious programming. And there's a lot of emotional energy that goes along with this. It affects our being, and it affects how we feel, what we think, what we're choosing, what we're doing, and what we are participating in. And if we have trauma programs with a lot of emotional content on them, often they will show themselves in a dream state. It's when we are more often open to receptive to what is going on within our inner being and in our inner identity, in our inner programming, that we can realize and kind of sort out what is happening. Often with these nightmares come obsessions, escapism, and disassociations. And since obsession, escapism, and disassociation are often part of a larger problem, they are often hard to pinpoint or analyze. Narcissists are experts at making you feel like you are not good enough, and over time, you do begin to believe that this is true. Escapism behaviors can be like watching a lot of television, spending more time on social media, workaholism, eating more than usual, smoking, taking drugs, or drinking to excess. And this is a very usual way of coping with anxiety, stress, and trauma. In fact, escapism, along with obsession and disassociation, are all ways that we can kind of buffer our reality to make this abuse and this post-abuse more tolerable experiences, such as living with or being with a narcissist. That's a very difficult experience. And accordingly, excessive indulgence can be an indication that you are suffering the effects of narcissistic abuse as well. So I believe that knowing these symptoms some of these kind of unknown symptoms are some of the first steps that you can take in regaining yourself and escaping the clutches of narcissistic abuse and complex post-traumatic stress disorder. No one can do this alone, and no one is asking you to do this alone. Please seek out an empathetic narcissistic abuse counselor, coach, or therapist to help you along and unpack these symptoms. My name is Sara Ann Brown, and this is Narcissistic Abuse 101.